welcome to the Cyber Initiatives Group's first summit of the year. I'm Cipher Brief CEO and publisher Suzanne Kelly.
And I'm Rick Ledgett, former Deputy Director of the National Security Agency. Suzanne and I are both looking forward to having you with us over the next several hours for the Cyber Initiative Group's first summit of the year.
For those of you who are new to the Cyber Initiatives Group, and I think there are several of you, this is a dedicated group of cyber professionals with significant public and private sector experience. They all come together because we're trying to create a new kind of cyber ecosystem, if you will. We're bringing together experts from across the security spectrum, from national security to cyber security to business security and even individual security while folks are online, as a way to sort of share best practices, to hear from leaders, and then also to challenge each other on what we think we know about cyber.
Over the next hours, we'll be hearing directly from the highest levels of the US government and private sector leaders in the space, along with authors, academic, and think tank experts. And we'll have some coffee breaks built in. If you'd like to download the agenda for today's session, you can do that by going to cyberinitiativesgroup.com and clicking on the first quarter summit link in the nav bar. And you can find a link to download the agenda there.
That's right. There's also a link to download the agenda in the Cipher Brief's free morning newsletter this morning, and our COO, Brad Christian, is adding that SIG web address to the chat box as well. I really want to thank our Cipher Brief team for pulling this together. Our COO, Brad Christian, who many of you already know, our CMO, Erica Hipkins, our graphic designer, Jana Rose, and our project manager, Kalia Johnson, have particularly been working overtime to pull all of this together and to make today's experience as seamless as possible. I'd also like to thank all of our speakers and attendees. You are the reason why we do this. You contribute your expertise to these conversations, and that community coming together is what really makes all the difference. So thank you so much for being a part of this with us. We're honored to be welcoming more than 1,100 registered guests from the public and private sectors for today's summit. We also have a number of my colleagues from the media side who are joining us. I just want to let you know that today's summit is an on-the-record event.
And I thought I'd address some questions as we run through the day-to-day. First, the agenda and the topics that we're addressing were all suggested by the SIG principles. You can find a list of them at the cyberinitiativesgroup.com as well. And if you're interested in finding out more about the group, how to become a part of the group, you can email Erica Hipkins, ehipkins@thecipherbrief.com for more information. The second question, we will be pausing for coffee breaks today because caffeine is a required part of every cyber conversation, but no lunch break. Cyber adversaries don't take lunch breaks, and neither will we. So downloading that agenda now might help you navigate the sessions that are most relevant for you today.
Yeah, I also want to just give a big shout out, Rick, to our sponsors. Booz Allen Hamilton and Accenture are kind of leading the way on making sure that we have what we need to keep this group going. We very much appreciate their support. It makes a huge difference and allows us to bring you 4 summit meetings per year where the principals, as you just mentioned, Rick, are the ones who are really creating this agenda. So it's really an expert-driven agenda, an expert-led conversation. So thanks to Accenture and to Booz Allen Hamilton, we're looking forward to welcoming you into today's conversations as well. If you follow the Cipher Brief's open source report each morning, and I hope you do, there's also a podcast version of that. You've seen a lot of the headlines in cyber just recently. The Russian buildup of troops along Ukraine's border is a closely watched developing story, and we're proud to be bringing you a session today at 2 o'clock Eastern time, led by Dmitry Alperovich, on the issue of what happens in Ukraine is definitely not going to stay in Ukraine. So as we watch to see what the Russian president decides to do in Ukraine, we'll be having a conversation about what businesses should be doing to get ready for that. We've got a lineup of incredible experts for that session today, Rick.
And Dimitri's going to be joined by my former boss, General Keith Alexander, General David Petraeus, the Honorable Sue Gordon, and Chris Krebs. And it's really interesting because Ukraine has been a test bed for Russian cyber operations since at least 2012 or so, and they have typically tried things out there first and give them their operational testing before they release them on the world. And so it'll be interesting to see how that's evolving.
It will be, and particularly hearing from Dmitry on this issue. It's something he's covered for so long and followed. Before that, though, we're going to be talking about the rise of ransomware with those on the front lines of that fight. And those are private sector leaders, Rick, as you know. The government has a role as well, but Accenture's Kelly Bissell and our knowledge partner, Booz Allen Hamilton's Jim Allen, and Mandiant's Sandra Joyce are going to be sharing insights on that issue in a conversation with Rick, and you're leading that at 11:30 this morning.
And we have a surprise guest this afternoon at 1 o'clock in our Wildcard segment. Suzanne and I didn't want to suffer a failure of imagination in cyber, and so we put our heads together to invite a surprise speaker who's going to shake things up a bit by challenging some conventional wisdom. Funnily enough, we both came up with the same name as a first choice for the session, so I'm really looking forward to hearing what this guest has to say.
That was crazy. If you think about how many experts there are out there, Rick, who between us, we both know that we both came up with the same person, I think is very fascinating. Before that, we're going to be hearing from National Cyber Director Chris Inglis in just a minute. We're also talking Log4j with CISA Chief of Staff Kirsten Todt, and we're talking about the blurred lines between nation states and criminal groups with Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General John Carlin. Now, this administration has been aggressive in how it uses the law to not only track down adversaries in cyber, but also how it goes after recovering funds. We've all seen those headlines over the past several months. So we're looking forward to getting a very current snapshot of today's situation.
We have a lot going on today, and we want to let you know how you can get involved in the conversation. So if you have comments or questions, please use the question box within your control panel, which is probably on the right side of your screen. Or you can always email your questions to bradchristian@bchristian@thecipherbrief.com.
And we'll ask Brad to throw his email in that chat box for you as well if you need it.